Hello friends, in today's lecture I am going to discuss the concept of money. Money is very vital component of the modern economy. Money is like a fuel. The way fuel is very important for a vehicle. Without fuel you can't run, without petrol, without diesel, without gas you can't run vehicle, right? You can't run factories. Similarly, without money it is very difficult to run the economy, and therefore we need to understand the complexities associated with money. As far as definition of money is concerned, a famous professor whose name is F.A. Walker, he said, money is what money does. Now the question arises, what money does? As a common individual, you would visualize in day-to-day life the uses of money. What do you do with money? You take money, buy vegetables. You use money to buy grocery items. You use money to pay your phone bill. You use money to watch cinema in cinema hall. You use money to purchase shares, bonds and other financial assets. You use money to repay the loan that you have taken from any lender. It is bank or any other financial institutions or your friends or relatives. So what do you find? That your day-to-day life, your day-to-day activities being associated with purchase of goods and services for your survival, or the purchase of financial assets which are essential for making money in future, are conducted using money. So money is the one which guides, which influences majority of economic activities. What do you find? That most of the economic activities which do not fall part of a care activities, where you don't find exchange of money except you purchase care from outside of the family, money is very crucial. Now we have just seen what are the types of uses of money we observe in our day-to-day life. Now, what are the functions of money? And it is the function which is going to define what is money. And this is called functional definition of money. There is an economist called David Kinley. He highlighted in more coherent way the functions of money. There are two types of functions of money. One is called primary functions and other is called secondary functions. Whatever uses of money that we have discussed and that we observe in our day-to-day life are basically guided by such functions, primary and secondary functions. And what are the primary functions? The first primary function is called medium of exchange. As we have seen that when we buy vegetable, when we buy grocery items, when we buy newspapers, when we buy any types of services, any goods which are going to make our living standard better, we pay money. So we are able to buy goods and services only when we have got money functioning as a medium of exchange. Now the question arises that when money is not there, can't exchange of goods and services happen? Of course, it can happen. And it used to happen. We had barter system. We had exchange economy. And exchange economy was characterized by transactions of goods and services, exchange of goods and services in the absence of money. But then the primary criteria to have exchange taking place was that two individuals' requirements complement each other, right? And both individuals have got goods and services which are required by each other. In that situation, this is called coincidence of double wants. That means want of A matches to the goods available with B, and wants of B matches to the goods available with A, and then both the individuals will exchange their goods and services. In exchange economy, it is very difficult to carry on the transactions because recurrence of double coincidence of wants was very intermittent, was very sparse, was not very frequent and not very organized, and therefore the sale of goods and services was not smooth, and it creates constant on production of goods and services. Right? Now in that situation, right, the expansion of production does not take place. And when expansion of production does not take place, the per head availability of goods and services also remains very low, and that compromises with the living standard of the individuals. That means lesser goods and services would lead to, in conventional wisdom of development, lesser development, lesser well-being of the individuals. That means well-being of the individuals is determined by how much goods and services he or she can command and are available in reach. Right? So, given that conventional notions of development, absence of money, and scope of exchange economy to create a greater scale of production was limited, and that is where the money was invented. And money, when it started being as medium of exchange, right, majority of producers did not have to worry about who is producing what and where one is producing, right? You produce your goods and services, sell it in the market in return of money, right? And then you have realized your profit. So money functioning as medium of exchange made the transactions of goods and services very smooth. It did away the hurdles which existed on the expansion path of productions of goods and services. So this is one very important function of money which we call medium of exchange. Right? Remember, the medium of exchange function can be performed by money only when it is universally acceptable. So universal acceptability of money is very crucial to ensure that money functions as medium of exchange, right? And anything which is functioning as a medium of exchange will have universal acceptability. The second function of money is what we call, that also forms the part of primary function, is called unit of account, right? Now in when you don't have money in case if you don't have money in existence, then the price of each commodity has to be represented in varieties of goods and services, right? That means how much 1 kg of wheat is available for how many liters of milk, right? How many meters of cloth, or how many kgs of apple, or how many kgs of oranges, or how many kgs of guava, or how many kgs of mustard seeds, or how many kgs of what you call any other food grains. So that means in the absence of money, each commodity would have various prices being represented in terms of various commodities in terms of their units of measurement, and therefore it becomes very tedious to remember the price of every commodity, right? Now it is here that money, existence of money, does away the problem of having multiple prices of one commodity, right? Once we have got money into existence, you don't need to have prices of one commodity in terms of other commodity. When money is being used as unit of account, then it becomes very easy to make transactions of goods and services, right? You don't need to remember the price of one commodity in terms of varieties of goods and services. There would be only one price of each commodity, and all that will be reflected in terms of price, right? So these are the two important functions of money. One is called medium of exchange and other is called unit of account. Then there are two more functions of money, right? And they are secondary functions of money, right? What are they? The third function of money is the store of value, right? Now in the absence of money, when it was exchange economy, then every producer produced only the extent of quantity of goods and services which was required by him and which was required by any other person in nearby to whom the producer knew that would be buying that particular commodity, and also producer was willing to accept whatever has been produced by them, right? So this basically what we call the self requirement and the known requirements was the criteria, right? Was being used to decide how much to produce, right? But the moment you've got money in existence, then you don't have to worry about your requirement and others' requirement to whom you know, right? You can just produce as much as possible and sell it in the market and convert that in the form of rupee or in the form of a common medium of exchange, maybe rupee or maybe dollar or maybe any other currency, right? It depends which country you are in. So if you are in India, definitely when you sell your goods and services, you will get rupee in return, right? So you now once you have produced, you sell it in the market and then you get money in your hand, and whatever you have produced, right, you have generated value in the system. Now that value can be preserved by you in the form of money, and now money is not perishable item, and therefore you don't have to worry about the value of money, right? The value of money remains there with you as long as prices in the economy are constant. Whatever production you do, you can easily sell that in the market, and you can convert all that produce by selling them in the market in the form of money, which can be stored by you, which can be kept by you, and that money, right, or that value which has been generated by production of goods and services can be used by you in future in purchase of other types of goods and services which are essential for you, right? Also, that generally when you look at commodity productions, right, to produce in bulk, for example, if you are a farmer and you have got 100 or 10 hectares of land and we are going to produce wheat, right? Once you produce the wheat, you have generated value, you have created value in the production chain. But then how would you store that value? If money is not there, you have to store in the form of wheat itself. But then how long? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, right? After 3 years or 4 years, what will happen? Those wheat will get rotten and you will lose the value, right? So it is the money. It is the money which is basically going to save whatever you have produced, right, in the form of value, right? Or it is the money which is going to preserve the value which you have created by producing wheat, and by selling those wheat in the market, you get in your hand money, and that money can be kept by you, right, which is nothing but it is the preserving value which you have created in the form of wheat, right? So it is so third function of the money is store of value. Then comes the fourth function of money, and the fourth functions of money is again as part of secondary function is called deferred payment. Whenever you take loan and repay it, you always use the same means, the same medium. You borrow in terms of, let us say you are an Indian and you are borrowing in India, you borrow in terms of rupee and you also repay in terms of rupee, right? So all future payments are done in the form of money, and therefore money functions as medium of deferred payment, right? So these are the four functions of money, and these four functions basically make money as universally acceptable entity, and therefore it becomes very crucial in determining the economic activities, carrying on the economic activities. Remember, the invention of money always creates more economies of scale for producers who were previously constant by the fact that there was no money in existence, and therefore they had to always follow double coincidence of wants criteria to make exchange. Now, after having discussed the four functions of money, we also need to talk about the types of money. When you look at the evolution of money, right, the money primarily can be of two types. One is the commodity money and other is the fiat money. Now, what is commodity money? The commodity money is nothing but any commodity which fulfills all four functions of money is called commodity money, right? Of course, commodity money was not perfect means to perform all those four functions. That's why we had to invent fiat money, right? The problems of divisibility, right, was a very important problem which did not allow commodity money to remain as money in the economy. Also, that the limited supply of commodity, right, and ever expanding economic activities in the economy was another reason why commodity money had to be discarded, right? Now, as far as commodity money is concerned, it is that money whose intrinsic value and face value both are same. The intrinsic value and face value both are same. That means that commodity not only has got only one use, that is as medium of exchange, right, or store of value, or means of deferred payments, or unit of account, but that also had other uses. And what those uses could be? Those uses could be non-economic uses, right? Or those uses could be in any other form which are not functions of money. For example, let us say 1 kg of wheat, right, is a form of money, right? Now that intrinsic value of wheat and the face value of 1 kg of wheat as money is the same, right, which I can use for purchase of other goods and services. But are there any other uses of wheat? Of course, if I don't use the 1 kg of wheat as medium of exchange, I can use for the purpose of consumption. I can convert that in flour, and I can use flour for making chapati or making bread, right? So this is what the unique character of commodity money is, that it has got dual uses. One, functioning as medium of exchange or functioning as money, right, and other non-monetary uses, right? That is what you call commodity money. The second type of money is called fiat money, right? Now, as I said, in ever expanding economic activities, the limited supply of commodity created constraint on expansion of economic activities, right? Because when you are carrying on or increasing the economic activities, you always require more and more money supply in place so that you can carry on more and more transactions, right? So given this limited scope of supply of commodity money, right, the commodity money had to be discarded, right? And finally we had the notion of fiat money. Now, what is fiat money? The fiat money is that item which fulfills all four functions, primary and secondary functions of money, right? Two primary functions and two secondary functions, right? However, it is not commodity. Now, where does it get power from to perform that function? All four functions of money. It gets power from government, right? So, fiat money is that item, right, is that currency which has got backing of legal tender of the government, right? And that is why when you look at most of the fiat money, right, examples are Indian rupees, American dollar, right, they all are backed by their respective government. If you look at 100 rupees notes, it is clearly written on that, guaranteed by the central government. That means that 100 rupees has got legal backing of the government to function as money, and that is why it is called fiat money. Now, the way commodity money is characterized by the fact that intrinsic value and face value both are same. In case of fiat money, the intrinsic value is 0. What value it has is only face value, right? And the face value exists only because you have got backing of the government, the legal tender of the government, guarantee of the government. If guarantee is withdrawn, this paper of 100 rupees becomes just like any other paper which you will find on roads, flying here and there, right? So it is the guarantee of the government which gives value to this a piece of paper to function as medium of exchange, to buy gold, to buy silver, to buy any luxury items, to buy any goods and services which you want. And that is why we call it fiat money, right? The face value, it has got some amount, but intrinsic value is almost zero. The day demonetization was done, what was done? That the legal tender behind 500 rupees notes and 1000 rupees notes, right, was withdrawn, and therefore all those 500 denominations currencies and 1000 denominations currencies had become non-acceptable medium of exchange in the economy, and they were just like waste paper, right? So it is the legal tender which is very crucial, right, to make any paper function as medium of exchange, and therefore it is called fiat money. So the fiat money is that money which has got backing of legal tender of the government, which has got backing of guarantee of the government, right? Now if you take that currency to the central bank, in return central bank will give you again the same denominations currency. It will not give you any other goods and services, and that's why on note it is written that I promise to pay the bearer the sum of, in case of 100 rupees, 100 rupees and nothing else, right? So this is what you call fiat money. Fiat money is always created by the central bank on the basis of backing of the central government, right? But there is another form of money, and that money is created by commercial banks, right? Commercial banks. And what is that money? Demand deposits, right? Who creates demand deposits? Commercial banks, right? And therefore, and demand deposits which are created by commercial banks on the basis of fiat money, and those demand deposit creations happens to be of multiple times of the fiat money created by the central bank. Those demand deposits function as medium of exchange when banks give you check facilities on your deposit accounts. Banks give you debit or ATM card facilities on the basis of those deposits, and therefore those deposits also start functioning as medium of exchange, and therefore those deposits function as money. And such money which have been created by the commercial banks are called derivative money. So we have got primarily three types of money. One is called commodity money, which does not exist anymore in the monetized economy. The second one is what we call fiat money, which is the one which is characterizing the modern world. And third is called derivative money, which is created by commercial banks in the economy, right? So this is what the discussions we had to do with respect to, right, concept of money, functions of money, and types of money. I hope it is clear to you all. Thanks a lot for watching.